Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the Opposition Preview. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And after a difficult couple of games against Everton and a Boxing Day defeat against Fulham, Chelsea are looking to round out the year with a win against Ipswich at Portman Road. Not going to be an easy game. Obviously, Ipswich back in the Premier League for the first time in over 20 years. It's been a little bit difficult for the Tractor Boys so far this season, sitting second bottom. Only 3 points from safety, though, so not a complete disaster. Still in touch. Managed to keep hold of Kieran McKenna over the summer. But to discuss the game, what Chelsea can expect from Ipswich, they'd like to be joined by Ipswich fan Dave from the Blue Monday podcast. Mate, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for coming on. Back in the big time for the first time in over 20 years. You must be absolutely delighted. I mean, has this season gone as you and Ipswich fans expected? I mean, the gap every year seems to be getting bigger and bigger from the Championship to the Premier League. Is that what you kind of find in this season?
Yeah, I think so. I think just before we came on air, I said to you that the Premier League's just absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. So, we've come through from where we were 2 seasons ago. Obviously, got promotion from League One 2 seasons ago, went right through promotion again from the Championship. In hindsight, looking at things now, it's probably happened too soon we came under new ownership, 3.5 years ago now. And they couldn't ever envisage this would have happened so quickly, So I think it's, let's say, taking everyone by surprise. I think it's perhaps happened a season or maybe even two too soon for us. But look, no one's going to complain. I mean, what a brilliant couple of seasons we've had. And yeah, it's just punishing and it's just brutal. And what do you know? What I've noticed, and what me and my colleagues, I think we say most weeks on the podcast, it's just the physicality of it and the size of the players and the physicality and the athleticism. It's just on a whole different level completely. And yeah, look, we conceded 60. All right. The difference is last season we conceded 60 odd goals in the Championship, but we scored nearly 100. We scored 90 odd goals. And that's the difference, we were, and probably, the Premier League, you're getting punished for every little mistake. You're getting punished for, and you're just not going to create and score. You're not going to create enough chances to score enough goals to pick up points or win games. It's just bottom line, really. Yeah, it's hard, really hard.
You managed to keep hold of Kieran McKenna over the summer. Were you worried at any point he was going to leave? Obviously, he's had 2 brilliant seasons. He was linked with the Chelsea job. He was linked with the Man United job. He was obviously supposedly interviewed by Brighton as well. He ended up signing a new contract. Obviously, that's massive for the football club. But were there ever any concerns that he was going to move on?
Of course there were. I don't think realistically, Man United and Chelsea were really serious. I don't think so. I think if collectively, I think all the fans would say it was the Brighton job that perhaps you think, well, look at Brighton, established Premier League side. Okay, haven't got our history, but established Premier League side, 30,000 stadium. That would be the sort of job I think we thought, well, this might be where he might be swayed, but no, he didn't. He stayed loyal to us, which was great. Leading us into the Premier League, which we every supporter hoped for, and to get that continuity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you touched on, obviously, when you come up, teams have got to spend a lot of money. You bought some players in. I wanted to touch on a couple of players. Amari Hutchinson, who was one of our lads, it was brilliant on loan in the Championship last season, had a fantastic season, made that deal permanent in the summer. He's still a young kid, not played an awful lot of Premier League football. How has he found the step up to the Premier League this season? Obviously, it's massively different, as we touched on. Has he managed to make much of an impact, or has he found it difficult?
Yeah, no, I think he's done really well. I think in recent weeks, though, particularly against Newcastle, who, by the way, were probably the best side I've seen down here. So, aside from Liverpool first game, which you can't really count first game of the season, Newcastle were excellent. He looked a bit lost against Newcastle. Again last night, didn't against Arsenal. He didn't have his best game, but no, he's done really well. Scored a brilliant goal against superb equaliser against Man U. No, I think he's acquitted himself really well. But again, it's sometimes with him in certain games, it's a physicality. He's small, quite low centre of gravity. Really, really skillful player. Lovely to watch, lovely on the eye. But in some games, he's just bullied out of it. He really is. But no, he's done really well. Absolutely fantastic player. They're great sign. Absolutely, our record. To put it in the context, I think ultimately was our record signing. Yeah, he's done really well, and a brilliant loan for us last season. Absolutely superb.
And in terms of another guy that's come in, he's obviously attracting quite a lot of interest. Ourselves very interested as well. Potentially, we could see a move. I don't think January, but certainly in the summer. Liam Delap, obviously coming from Man City, didn't really do very much on loan at Hull last season. Didn't really tear any trees up. But he's made a very, very good start to life at Ipswich. He's got 6 or 7 goals in the league this season. Looks a real handful, physical profile. How impressed have you been by him? And do you worry that you're going to struggle to keep hold of him?
Oh, inevitable. I think it's perhaps inevitable. To be fair, he hasn't scored for a few weeks now. He hasn't scored since Spurs back in early part of
They'll
November.
probably score Monday night now.
I hope so. Saving him. I think he scored. Yeah, he scored 6. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. He's got all the attributes, mate. He's big, um, athletic, puts himself about, got some pace about him. Obviously, got an eye for goal. He's 2-footed. Unfortunately for him, we've just had to flog him. Really, when I say flog him, really, really, obviously because we had a sort of fairly long-term injury. George Hurst, who, to be fair, was injured last season, but who plays a similar role up front and probably a little bit older than Liam Delap, and perhaps with our style of play, perhaps a better target man, perhaps holds the ball up slightly better, but he hasn't got Delap's. Yeah, he's got the potential to go where he wants to, I think. Still a bit raw, still a fair few raw edges about him, but mate, when he's on it and fired up, yeah, super player. Really, really is. Yeah, and a really, really great sign. And I think it's inevitable whether probably someone like him, whether we stay up or heaven forbid, whether we go down, stay up or go down, I think we'll do well. I don't sure he won't go anywhere in January, but we'll do very well. Well, we won't hold on to him in the summer. No way. No way.
Yeah, no,
I had a really similar. I did a really similar pod with a Newcastle fan this time last week, and he was saying exactly the same. He said, "Oh, I told everybody we should have signed Liam Delap in the summer, and yeah, he's really well coveted, isn't he?" And you just hear the build up for the match last night, and Shearer, really speaking well of him. I think Danny Murphy a few weeks ago, on Match of the Day, said, "Oh, he's the young successor to Harry Kane." Flipping heck, and potentially he is. He's got all the
yeah,
potential, but 21, 22, sometimes it doesn't realise that. But I think, yeah, he's pretty much got the lot. Yeah,
no, he looks really good, and he's kind of like, I'm not saying we're going to get him or anything, but like the more you think about it, like the more obvious the
fits your
transfer
profile.
seems. It fits the profile we're
Yeah.
looking for. He come from the Man City academy, knows Joe Shields, knows Enzo Maresca. I mean, I think he scored 20 odd goals with Maresca
Did.
when City won the PL2 in that side with Lavia, Cole Palmer, etc. Look, we'll wait and see what happens, but he's certainly one that, from my perspective, definitely worried about heading into Monday night. Home form always gets talked about as something that's really important for promoted sides. Both your wins this season have come on the road, still waiting for that first win at home. I mean, obviously, I know you could have beaten Leicester at home. They got a last-minute equaliser. There's been a few opportunities where you could have won at home. Why do you think you've struggled at Portman Road this season?
It's a tough one, that, because it's been a fortress, obviously, in the Championship and before in League One, obviously. Just closing games out, really. Like the Leicester game was a case in point, and just having that. And it's been said a few times this season, just, because we're so inexperienced and we really haven't got many players at all that have played at at the highest level. It's just lack of sort of not being street smart, really, and just being able to see games out. Well, they call it shit housing, don't they? But do you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
you know what I mean. We just lack a bit of that nous to see games out. Yesterday was interesting. Not surprisingly, when we won at Spurs on a game yesterday, we played 5 at the back, which we would against Arsenal. And to be fair, sorry, I know we're not talking about yesterday's game, but just as in context, flipping heck, for the first half an hour, it was just like, it was a ridiculous stat. I don't know if you saw it, but for the first half an hour, Arsenal, I think, had something like 530 passes, completed passes. We had like 15. I mean, it was just ridiculous. But it served a purpose. I know they got the goal, but we defended well. We looked a lot more solid with 5 at the back. Look, McKenna plays a tried and tested 4-2-3-1. Whether he will change and play that at home, he hasn't done yet. But against a team like Chelsea, look, maybe he will. Maybe he will. So it'll be an interesting one. But yeah, there was that game, Leicester game you mentioned, Bournemouth. Oh, man, we were 1 up. I mean, Leicester was a case in point, and for us to stay up, everything really has to go in our favour. Pretty much everything. We had a stonewall VAR penalty kicked out against Leicester. It was an absolute joke. That would have put us 2-0 up with about 20 minutes to go. Bournemouth, looking at some of our, hopping back to Arsenal, look at some of Arsenal's goals from set plays. We had a really similar one against Bournemouth, which was marginally disallowed. That would have put us 2-0 up after about half an hour, So little things going against us as well. But yeah, the real answer to your question is just not being smart enough to close games out, really. That's just simply what it is.
Yeah, no, I mean we've had a few issues ourselves, just closing games out. Fulham on Boxing Day, a classic
Mm.
example, unable to see it out. We have let in quite a few late goals this season. Not all of them have been costly, but we have conceded a lot of goals late on, which is something that we certainly need to improve on. Ipswich do like to score late winners as well. Got one against Wolves, and you do score quite a lot of late goals as well. Certainly in the Championship last season, there were a lot of late goals. So they are a team that obviously keep going right until the end. Obviously, Chelsea coming to town on Monday night, final game of the year. Obviously, it's been a great year for Ipswich. It's been an okay year for Chelsea.
Well,
Things are getting better.
yeah.
How are you feeling about this one? Obviously, last time out against Newcastle, it was a heavy defeat. We have got it in us to score a lot of goals, but I wouldn't say we're on a bad run, but we've not won in the last two. We are sort of maybe due a decent performance. It would be great to get it on Monday, but I mean, how are you feeling about this game, and what have you made of Chelsea this season?
I mean, it's a yeah. You just hope you don't get that, that rebound here. The last, pretty the last gasp defeat against Fulham. Didn't beat obviously Everton. We just hope you don't get that rebound. I did see that Madueke was rested, wasn't he? The last time he was
Well, no, he
rested,
was
I think.
left out because of his levels in training were poor, so he
I
just
mean,
left him out the
that's a
squad. Yeah,
shout, isn't it? Left out of the squad as well.
yeah, yeah.
That's a shout. Yeah, to be fair. So, whether he's back, well, I just wrote down their starting 11. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're sorry there. You're starting 11 against Fulham, and I mean, you just look at the. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, you just look at the two in midfield. I mean, Fernandez and Caicedo. There's like over approaching 230 million
Yeah,
pounds worth of. So it just puts it all into
yeah.
context. So, well, what I am hoping, we can't concede early again against Newcastle. It kills you. You concede
What was
after
that
30
first 30
seconds,
seconds, wasn't it? Yeah, you
kills
can't
you.
do
And
that.
and to really twist the knife, it went to VAR, like 2.5 minute VAR before they eventually gave the goal. So really, you think, oh, we got away with it. Oh no, we haven't. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we haven't. Prolong the agony. They were really good, though. I've got to say that. I'll hark back to that. They were really good. So yeah, I think we'll be certainly, hopefully, a lot tighter than we were that day. But certainly, some of their play on the day was superb. But yeah, I think from an Ipswich fan's point of view, you go into every home game hoping you can pick things up, but it's kind of an anomaly that we haven't picked anything up at home this season. No wins at all. And what's ultimately gonna do for us this season, as there was home games against Everton, Palace, Leicester. Can you really bring Bournemouth into it? But again, Bournemouth, where we were winning, and out of those 4 games, we took 1 point. That's ultimately what's going to do for us this season. Failure to take, perhaps 3 even 4 points from those games, those teams around you, is what's going to absolutely kill us, especially at home. So, I mean, look, from my point of view as a football fan, I'm just looking forward to seeing Cole Palmer. To be fair, and I bet you get this
Yeah.
a lot. I bet you get this a lot, don't you? Surely you must do.
Mate, it's the one player that opposition fans always single out as the one guy that people look forward to watching. And look, it is a privilege to watch him play every week. I think he's just been an absolute revelation. It's been a complete
Incredible.
surprise at how well he's done. I remember when we signed him on deadline day, not this summer, just gone, the previous one. There was a little bit of, it wasn't like frowned
Boo.
upon, but there was a bit of a mixed feeling around it, sort of thinking,
Yeah.
well, this guy's obviously got ability. He's not played that much. Did we really need him? But I mean, what he's done has exceeded everyone's expectations, and look, he's an absolute joy to watch. I suspect that Ipswich may look to man marking or double up on him. A lot of teams have been doing that this season to try and minimalise his effect, and he's still got 12 goals in the league this season, which is pretty good going at just under the halfway stage. So he's on course to get a similar amount of goals to what he scored
20
last
goals or
season.
more.
Yeah,
He doesn't score all.
he's just brilliant to watch.
He doesn't seem to score ordinary goals, really, does he? I mean, the goal the other day was just so
That was
simple,
great,
so
wasn't it?
brilliant, wasn't it? I'd tell you who else has done well for you this season, who I thought really wasn't going to cut it. It's Jackson up front. I think he's
Very
done
good.
really well, hasn't he? Really, under Maresco, he's really improved player, because I watched him certain games last year. He sort of shake him. His first touch is awful, and he just doesn't look a player at all. But to be fair, he's really, and Jordan Sancho's an interesting one. Has he started to show a bit?
Yeah, no, he has now. Like he obviously arrived on deadline day. He started really well. He had 3 assists in his first 3 games, and then after he started against Liverpool in October, he didn't feature again for a month. He was left out for a couple of games for tactical reasons. Then he was
Mm,
ill. Then he was injured. Obviously,
mm.
couldn't play against Man United because of the loan conditions of the loan.
Of course.
And then it became like a month until he played. He come back in a Conference League game, got a couple of assists, and now he's back in the team. Had a very good game against Spurs. And look, he probably is first choice on that left hand side at the moment. And he's doing well. Obviously, he's still got a long way to go until he potentially hits those levels that he was showing at Borussia Dortmund. But
Yeah.
on a loan with an obligation to buy for 25 million, he's 24 years of age. It's a good piece of business, and I think he's a player that is going to be very useful for us.
I mean, as an Ipswich fan, we look at these sides, and I look at your lineup there, and I looked at Newcastle's lineup and stuff. It's just a threat from everywhere. That's
Yeah,
that's what you find. It's just threats coming from everywhere, really. So yeah, it's how we can combat that, and I think hopefully we'll be a lot. It'll be really interesting to see whether he will go with a 5 at the back at home. I don't know. It's a big shout, but yeah, we certainly need to be tighter than we were against Newcastle. That's for sure.
no, absolutely. I mean, look, we have struggled a little bit against teams that maybe put more men behind the ball that look to sit a little bit deeper. Everton was a case, an example. They made things very, very difficult for us. Fulham didn't sit deep per se, but they maybe sat a bit deeper than some teams will do against us. We found that difficult to create a lot of chances against them. Nottingham Forest earlier in the season, we struggled to break them down. We created chances, but we didn't take them. There's definitely the ability to frustrate if Ipswich get men behind the ball. Like, for example, last night against Arsenal, maybe you didn't have that many shots on goal or whatever, and maybe weren't in the game, but
Yeah.
you frustrated it and made it very difficult for them. So, that could be a way of being successful. It's just, as you said, whether McKenna looks to adopt that approach at home in front of your own fans. Like, it's a tricky one, but I don't know. That might be your best bet of getting something out of the game. I'm not too sure.
I think it probably is. Again, I know I harked back to the Newcastle pod I did last week. That was quite funny because he said, "Oh yeah, where we really struggled this season is against teams with a low block and stuff like that." And I said, "You ain't going to get that Saturday." You can almost see him like rubbing his hands together. And quite right is exactly how it played out. So look, from our point of view on Monday, we can't concede an early goal. Have to contain, and then at home, who knows, but. Yeah, it's going to be tough, and it just doesn't get any easier because week after we've got Fulham away. You were on obviously
Tough
came to
game.
you
Yeah.
had a great result. Although that's another game that perhaps we drew 1-1 with them at home fairly early on. Might have been end of August, I think. Yeah, maybe just about end of August, beginning of September. I probably could have beaten them. It was 1-1 in the first half. I didn't get done by a late goal. Second half was quite even, so we more than hold our own against them at home. So we got them away, and then they got the cup, and it just doesn't get any easier. We've got bloody Liverpool away, Man City at home.
Yeah, mate, it's difficult games. It's difficult games.
What we have got is a transfer window. So look, I think what it is, and again, you must have heard this before. I think for any promoted team, especially like us, you somehow need to survive that first season.
Yeah.
Somehow have 3 or 4 or 5 transfer windows. If you can get that in, and then obviously a bit of trading, obviously a bit of player trading, but you've got the finance there now. I have those transfer windows to really try and build an experienced Premier League squad, but it is so hard. It
No,
really is.
it absolutely is. Last thing then, mate. Score prediction for Monday night. I know these aren't easy, but how are you feeling? Do you think you can get something out of this game?
Oh, every home game you hope you think you can get something out every home game. It's going to be so tough. Here you go. I'll throw in a 2-2. There you go.
There we go.
That's perhaps more my heart saying that than my head. There you go.
Well, to be fair though, we do concede a few goals. I wouldn't bank on us keeping a clean sheet. I hope we can return to winning ways. It's one of those games that, like, always going to newly promoted sides, at home. It can be quite challenging. I thought you should have beaten Man United in Amarim's first game. And I think Ipswich have put in some good performances against the better sides. I thought against Liverpool opening day, you were pretty decent. Obviously beat Tottenham. I know that was away, but Ipswich have kind of done better against the bigger teams. I'm expecting a difficult game. I do think we'll return to winning ways. I think we might have a little bit too much. I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 win. But to be honest, I'll take any win at this stage. Just secure that place in the top 4. But I
Well,
still think Ipswich will stay up. I still think you've got enough
mate,
about you.
that'd be superb. Just quickly, I mean, where you are now, what are your hopes now? Just consolidate there and Champions League?
Yeah, absolutely. I think expectations for us is just get back into that Champions League,
Yeah.
win the Conference League. We shouldn't really
Yeah.
be in it, but we're the best team in it by quite a
No,
distance. That doesn't give you a
yeah,
right to win, but
yeah.
we top 4 in the Conference League, and then let's just see what happens in the FA Cup. And then next season, we have to be challenging for the Premier League. That's got to be the next step. But mate, thank you so much for your time. It's greatly appreciated. If
Cheers,
people
mate.
want to check out what you guys do, where should they go?
Blue Monday podcast on all social platforms, YouTube, etc. Blue Monday podcast. So the flagship show, which is a main show, will go out. Oh, that's a very good question. When will it go out this week? Not quite sure. Probably maybe Tuesday this week. There probably will be a summary show, a quick summary show post match on Monday, but I assume the flagship show will go out on Tuesday. However, that usually on a normal weekend, the flagship show usually goes out on a Sunday, and then there's a preview show. It's a prediction show that goes out on a Tuesday, and usually a match weekend preview show that goes out on a Thursday.
Perfect. Guys, make sure you subscribe. Head over there. Show the guys some love. Loads of great content will be tagged in the title and linked in the description. Make sure you go and show the Ipswich guys some love. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like, leave your thoughts in the comments, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you again in another one soon.